Let's make some noise. Come on.
Indeedy, let's make some noise, Nick Foles. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode. Fun-filled, chalked with greatness. The final word. Here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network with your boy, MattyB, our nightly check-in or nightly check-out, whatever you want to call it, of your Philadelphia sports day. No holds barred. We leave it all on the table. We don't pull no punches on this program. So welcome back to our second in a row for the week, man. I mean, I gotta pat myself on the back. I haven't done two in a row of these in maybe about 2 weeks, but it's been tough. It's been tough trying to work this in, but this week kind of lightened up a little bit for me, and I was able to do a few episodes. I should be back again tomorrow night. Thursday night, a little iffy, but let's enjoy tonight and tomorrow before we get to Thursday. But tonight on the program, we're going to continue our never-ending saga that is your Philadelphia Phillies. Phillies last night lost 3-1. Very disheartening out in San Francisco. Game filled with defensive miscues, lack of offense again, and yes, some questionable umpiring, which if you want to bring up, I'll talk about it. I don't hedge away from that kind of stuff. It was some questionable calls at the end of the game, especially in the 8th inning and the 9th inning, 8th inning. 8th inning. That was the inning, right? The big one. So we can discuss that if you like. But we are definitely going to talk Phillies tonight, and we're going to get into some of the problems. Once again, it's just such a – it kind of hedges back to the coward nonsense homerism of it's baseball when I hear that, and it makes me puke, get physically ill. What exactly is baseball? What is that? What does that mean? I mean, we're talking about RISP problems with this baseball team for like 3 years now. Is that baseball? I get it. Baseball's filled with peaks and valleys and hills and mountains and ups and downs and all that. But human nature says you should learn from those mistakes and try to remedy them and try to fix them. So to constantly fall on the "it's baseball" sword is beginning to get a little, it's a little nauseating, to be honest with you. The Phillies are now currently, if you're doing the math at home, which yes, I am, 0 for their last 21. With runners in scoring position. That is a healthy 0.000 batting average when it comes to driving in runners in scoring position over the last, 3 games. So far, through 10 games of the second half of the season, the Phillies are now batting a ripe 200 with runners in scoring position. And for the season, their numbers have fallen to below 250. They're batting 247. But yet I hear the conversation of let's bring Cedric Mullins here because he's going to fix it all. Let's bring one guy here that another team doesn't want, and that person is going to change the entire DNA of this team. So we're going to get into some Phillies that are currently in action right now as we speak out in San Francisco. Game 2 of a 3-game set with the San Francisco Giants. Taijuan Walker get in the call tonight. Apparently he was a better option than Mick Abel. So Taijuan Walker, who knows how long he's going to last. I think through the first inning, he's already had 2 full counts in 1 inning. So he's already thrown a bunch of pitches through the first. Obviously, Taijuan probably not long for this game. 4 innings, 5 if we're lucky. Can the offense wake up tonight? Hopefully they can. And you'll know about it because here on this show, on this network, we have the Fighting's Final. And yes, it is going to be on tonight. For those faint of heart, those individuals that want to stay up to 1 a.m. and watch Phillies baseball, you might as well just stick around for the Fighting's Final that will follow the game immediately. Steve Fuentes with the call tonight. Pat Bernard had it last night. Mike Laro gets a little bit of a break. He'll be on around 7 o'clock tomorrow night. So he gets the day game turned into a early evening Fighting's Final. So, but make sure you're here on the program, tuning in for the Fighting's Final. The best and the most devoted show when it comes to Phillies postgame anywhere in the free world. Let's be honest. And all the other great programming here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network, like the Wraparound with Pat Bernard, like the Attacking Third program with Pat and Steve, like your PNM in the AM with Mike and Pat, and of course my show, The Final Word with MattyB. All that and more coming, a lot more coming as we get ready to turn the calendar, or turn the seasonal calendar from summer to fall. And I know I'm kind of getting a little ahead of myself because we're just literally in the summer, but the fall is going to be a big time show boost here in the network. A lot of work is going to be done. October is coming, and as the greatest month in the Philadelphia sports calendar, it has the potential of being the greatest month in the Philadelphia sports calendar when all 4 teams could be actually in action at the same time. So it's a phenomenon that doesn't happen that often. It's happened over the last 3 years, and it should happen again. But we can't wait for the fall and everything that's going to come with that. So please stay tuned to the network. Joe Hale checks in. Joe, what's going on? Welcome back yet again. Good to see you on this lovely Tuesday night. So let's get it rocking and rolling here. Your day in Philadelphia sports history tonight. We're going to be doing this. Obviously, we're going to talk some Phillies. We'll talk anything else that you want. The MLB draft is bearing down upon us. We're going to continue our retrospective on players that the Phillies could potentially have their choice of at 26 overall. And then we'll do our of the night segment, which will be the draft, and then our card review. So all the normal stuff that we do here on the nightly program. So let's go. Let's strap it in, strap it on, strap it up, and keep your head, hands, and feet inside the car at all times. And here we are. Your day in Philadelphia sports history all the way back to 1902. And no, I got to always say when I talk about some of the ancient stuff, I always got to put out a disclaimer that I was not there for firsthand knowledge. I did not visually see this. I was not present. I didn't report on this. I didn't, I wasn't shining shoes on the corner. I wasn't doing any of that stuff. So just want to make sure that this is third-hand account stuff because I was not around in 1902. Popular to contrary belief. But on this day in 1902, Philadelphia A's second baseman Danny Murphy was historically fashionably late. Murphy's contract was purchased from the minor league Norwich Reds the previous day, so on the 7th. He did not arrive at the Boston's Huntington Avenue grounds until the second frame of the ball game, the second inning. His debut with Philadelphia, better late than never. Murphy went 6 for 6 in that game, including a home run off of Cy Young, and he had no batting practice. He was kind of inserted into the game cold, and he had himself a career day. The 22-9 win over the Boston Americans featured a 12-run, 6th inning by the A's and 45 total hits combined to set an American League record at that time. So there you go. Danny Murphy had a career day on this day back in 1902. And that was your day in Philadelphia sports history. Again, I was not present to see it, so don't ask me what the weather was like. And is the Boston Fairgrounds Classic Garden there? Is that what Fenway is? I don't know. Maybe it is. I was not there. So there you go. Joe wants to know, is the high school baseball classic worth watching? Depends, Joe, on your level of interest in the sport. When you look at things like that, you look at Perfect Game, which is a nationwide sort of a league that features some of the high talent that's coming up the pike. If you're into tracking that stuff, if you're into getting a glimpse of what the future will be, yes, of course it is. But if you're just a casual fan, it might be a little bit boring because it is high school baseball. But again, if you're into like getting deep down and looking at seeing who could be the next crop of great players, who could be your perennial draft picks in years to come, then yeah, it's very much so worth watching. I watch it. I also watch college baseball. I watch Division III college baseball. I watch junior college baseball. I umpire Division II. So, I mean, I'm all over it, and I also work Perfect Game as well. So, I think you're asking the wrong guy, Joe. Honestly, I think you're asking the wrong guy. But if you're interested in getting deeper knowledge of the game and outside of what is happening here in Philadelphia, of course, I recommend stuff like that for all sports that you're interested in because, the talent that's out there that has yet to be identified by pop culture or by Major League Baseball is immense. And there's a player in this year's draft, in Ethan Holiday, who is consensus number 1. The Nationals have the first overall pick in this year's draft. So whoever the Nationals go after, we're going to be dealing with that player for at least the next 10 years or so. But Ethan Holiday, who is the younger brother of Jackson and the middle child of Matt, in the Holiday family, they got a younger sister that's younger than Ethan. So the MLB pipeline is dried up there, but Ethan is the projected number 1 overall pick. And I actually umpired a game of his for Perfect Game back in the winter down in Alabama. And he hit a 464-foot straight shots, center field home run on like the third pitch of the game. And this kid's he's major league ready right now. You know, am I bestowing Bryce Harper type ascension on him? No, I don't think he's that generational, but I expect to see Ethan Holiday wearing a Washington Nationals jersey in a Washington Nationals game. If, of course, the Nationals do take him, which I don't think they won't, but probably by the end or middle part of 2026 is probably when he'll make his debut in Major League Baseball. And at the very least, the beginning of the 27 season. So to answer your question in a short way, Joe, it depends on how much you want to get into the sport and how much you want to educate yourself, because it's not sexy, it's not glamorous, it's high school baseball, and that's what it is. So but yeah, you want to peek at the next crop, then absolutely watch away. So Joe Howe's kind of leading us down the primrose path when it comes to baseball. Let's continue the conversation. Phillies last night 3-1 loss in a game that featured some pathetic attempts at defense for the Phillies, Bryson Stott and Brandon Marsh specifically, and of course once again, a very, very, very dominant, not to say we're dominant, very, very steady effort by Christopher Sanchez, but he wasn't backed up by any kind of offense. The Phillies went 0-for-6 last night with runners in scoring position. They've now gone 0-for-21 over the last, say, 3 games. And I want to ask a question when a lot of the chatter this morning was directed at the umpires. And yeah, I watched that. I didn't stay up for the 8th inning. I had to watch it this morning or this afternoon. I watched it. And yeah, there were some questionable calls when it came to the corner of that zone on Ryan Kirkering not getting the calls. Now, the Bryce Harper pitch, you know what? Lower end of the zone, hollow of the knees. It's a strike. Was it a little low potentially? Was it too low to take? No. Yeah, well, yeah, it was too low to take, especially in that situation of the game. But I'm not going to let the umpire off the hook. It was not a good, it was very inconsistent, especially just that one inning. Again, I didn't really watch the game that closely, so I'm not going to comment on his zone throughout the game, because I'd have to go rewatch the game for that. But as far as the 8th inning goes, yeah, I mean, I'll give it where it's due. It was not the best effort. I think his grade this morning was 85. When calling true strikes, he got an 85%, which is like 4% below the league average. So no, it's not good. So but I'm not going to, and unfortunately, you're not going to get more than that out of me. I'm not going to start demanding for the ABS system. I'm not going to start demanding for the firing of every single umpire that's ever put on a mask. Absolutely 100%. I'm not going to do that, because I don't think they should be. I think the umpires are a vital part of the game and they should stay where they're at. As far as ABS goes, I never said anything negative about ABS. I think it's a great system that should be implemented in Major League Baseball. It would help the game, because at the end of the day, it's all about getting the call right. So I have no problem with that being instituted into the game. And then there's some questions about, well, why isn't it? Well, because it's a dramatic change to the game, and any dramatic changes to the game have to be ratified by the CBA. And currently, there's already a CBA in place, and that CBA does not expire until 1 December of 2026. Now, can they meet and potentially ratify a new CBA prior to 2026 and add the ABS system to it? Yeah, I don't know. Talk to the union and the owners for that. I don't know the timeline on any of that stuff, but I wholeheartedly expect it to get adopted once it's brought to the table. So it's going to come. But I think they're still working out the bugs to it. I honestly do. And I don't want it to be a Major League Baseball until it's 100% accurate. And yes, 100%. I don't want 99.9. I don't want 99.8. I want 100% that ABS system can track every ounce, every inch, every millimeter of that plate and give an accurate ball or strike count or ball or strike call. If we don't do that, and if we go forth with ABS at 99% or less than 100%, and yeah, I'm looking for perfection, because that's exactly what you are looking for. You want every call to be right. So ABS is that tool to make it right. Until it's 100%, 100 across the board, then I don't want it, because it's the same as having an umpire. You're still looking at less than 100% chance of getting it right. And that's what ABS is all about doing, right? Is getting it correct for 100% of the time. So until they work that out, and I don't know if they have, and I don't know what the delay is, and I don't know what the technology involved in it is. It's been instituted down in the minors for the last 2 years. Seems to work well down there. It doesn't really slow the game down that much. I love the fact that you get 3 challenges per game, and if you lose a call, or if you challenge incorrectly, then you lose a challenge. I think that's a great way to do it. I don't think it's going to slow the game down at all. It's going to become another part of the strategic chess game that is a baseball game, that you're going to have to choose or decide when you want to challenge a call. I'd like it. But until it's 100%, I don't want to see it in Major League Baseball, because that's what you guys are clamoring for, is 100% across the board. So, yeah, some questionable umpiring, but also some questionable baseball play by the Phillies. Again, defensively, Bryson Stott, I don't know what the hell he was doing out there in short right field. He couldn't make a play. The Brandon Marsh thing was the classic one, where he got spun around and the ball bounced over him for a ground rule double. Just really pathetic baseball out there by the Phillies last night, and then backed up by yet again another less than stellar effort with runners in scoring position. And we talked about this last night in nauseam. We talked about it over and over and over again. The trade deadline situation, with people wanting to think that it's going to be a magic wand that's going to solve this problem. And I say it's not. I say there's more than one player missing from this team that's going to solve the problem. Now, maybe you come out on the side of, well, I don't want the problem solved. I just want a better product. That's not a bad idea, but what are we looking to give up to get? And that's, again, we talked about this last night, and I'm sure we'll renew this conversation the closer we get to the trade deadline. But one player is not coming in here and changing anything about the DNA. And it is, at this point, it's DNA of this baseball team. It's what they are. It's not that's baseball nonsense. It's not. This is who they are. Everybody keeps waiting for them to come out of this. I've been waiting for 3 years. Is that more of a fool's gold, wanting them to snap out of something that they've been doing for 3 years? Or is that more of what they are? So until wholesale changes are made on this team, and we kind of outlined it last night a little bit, it's like 7 players that I look at, 7 positional upgrades that need to happen on this team. You're looking at upgrading third base. You're looking at upgrading left field, right field, center field, 2 arms in the bullpen. You could even talk about second base being upgraded. You're looking at 7 positions on this baseball team that possibly need to be upgraded in order to maybe change the DNA. And until you do something like that, nothing's going to really change about this team. They're still who they are. They still have the core players of what they got. And wanting them to start playing small ball, and we talked about this, and I had an epiphany about this a few days ago. Wanting them to play small ball and getting frustrated when they don't, getting frustrated why they cannot seem to drive runners in scoring position. It's no longer an anomaly. It's no longer something that their hitting coach has to work. This nonsense about what a hitting coach does at the major league level is getting epically out of control too. But this nonsense about them trying to be better, it's just that. It's nonsense. They are who they are. They're power hitters. 75% of the lineup is made up of the same type of player. Asking them to lay down a bunt or to use all fields or to situationally friggin' hit consistently is not what they are. And that's not what a power hitter is. So I said this as well. They're doing their job. The players that are here are doing what they're supposed to do. They're doing what they are. And that's, they're trying to hit for power. Now they're struggling, but that's what they're doing. And asking them to do something else, it's just a mind-numbing, bang your head against the wall type exercise, because it's never going to change. It's never, ever going to change. So the trade deadline is bearing down upon us, and I guarantee this conversation will get hotter and hotter as we get closer to it. But I've sort of resigned myself, and I've sort of come to terms with what they are. And hopefully it catches fire at some point later in the season. Hopefully they can find their way into the postseason. Well, not literally. I think they're actually getting to the postseason. But hopefully once in the postseason, they can find their way into some big power bursts and some big hitting, and will their way to a World Series championship. I don't have much confidence that they will, but there's always a chance. So until that moment where Dave Dombrowski, if he is the one who's in charge of fixing this, if he makes it through all this, along with Rob Thompson, until they decide that, you know what, we got to do some wholesale changes. We got to make some really tough decisions about some players, because it's just not working anymore. It's just not working. But until that moment comes for them, sitting here and getting frustrated about this team is ridiculous, because it's not going to change. No matter how much we will it to change, it's just not. It's just what they are. Joe says he's excited for the MLB draft on Sunday. I am too, Joe. And what was it, 6 o'clock Sunday night? And Joe, you asked the question, are we going to cover it here on the network? I don't know. Sunday's not a good day for me when it comes to my job. It's sort of my later day of the week. I'll probably be getting home around 5:30, around the time of the draft. So if I can somehow squeeze my way out early, or somehow work a game faster, or get a break and not have a game, then maybe definitely we'll do it. But right now it's up in the air. I'm going to plan on covering it. I'm going to plan on having a show for the draft on Sunday. But in the case that I don't, I'm putting that out there too. So the plan is to do it. We'll see. But yeah, Sunday at 6 p.m. round 1, I think, through 3 is going to be on ESPN. And then Sunday. Wait, when's the 13th? Yeah, Sunday is round 1 through 3, and then Monday is rounds 4 through 20. So for you baseball draft junkies, that's how it's going to break down. 1 through 3 on Sunday and 4 through 20 on Monday. We're just going to cover round 1. All right. I don't have that kind of time, nor do I have that type of knowledge to where I could talk to you about who the Washington Nationals are selecting in the 19th round of the 2025 MLB draft. I'm going to barely get through the first round. So it will be the first round and first round only on Sunday, if we do it. The Phillies were horrible yesterday. They've been hard, Joe. They were very horrible. I would say horrible. I was about to say they were very horrible. I don't know if they were horrible. They were the Phillies, and they've been what the Phillies have been all season long. And I love listening to fans, man. I love listening to people who are the eternal optimists, and just wait, just hang on. We'll get there. We're going to get to the postseason. Life is going to be great. You're all going to be eating out the other side of your mouth when they win a World Series. I love those eternal optimists. They can't back any of that up with any sort of hard facts or trends. They can't back any of that up. But I love the eternal optimism. I used to be like that. As a young man. But to not see what this team is, and there's people on this network that have the same problem. I mean, we got some of the biggest homers going working here on the Interactive Sports Network. I mean, Al and Mike, I've never seen the levels of homerism that at times come out of their mouth. And you know, I love them for it, and they're good people. Boy, man, whew. Sometimes you got to wear the hip waders around this place, man. Listen to them talk. But to see to think they are what other than what they really are, to me, I wish I could see it. I wish I could go back into that sleep. I wish I could get the blue pill and come out of the matrix. You know what I mean? I really do. I really wish I could get out. Somebody dial up the phone and zap me out of there, because I would love to go back to those days. But when you look at this team record-wise, just look at the record. You take away that 19-9 May, you take that out of the mix. The Phillies are a 500 baseball team, because they've been playing 500 or slightly above 500 literally the entire season, with the exception of May. So that, to me, even though you're not going to take May out, and you shouldn't, because they deserve it, they were 19-9 for a reason. But the fact that they had their winning outburst in May, and since and before that, it's been nothing but 500, smells and smacks a lot of 2024. It's exactly what happened to this team last year. They got off to that tremendous start. Now, the start last year was through March, April, May, and June, and then things level off after that. But it smells a lot like 2024. And why shouldn't it? Because this team is essentially the same as 2024. No upgrades have been made, just a lot of Band-Aids been slapped on some wounds. And to think that this team and that Dave Dombrowski did the best he could. So I rewatched the end of season press conference last year. I rewatched that. And the lip service and the amount of BS coming out of Dave Dombrowski's mouth at that end of season press conference was, I mean, it should have made every homer out there proud. It really should have. But the fact that the man did absolutely nothing to upgrade, he just patched some holes, totally contradicts what he said at the end of the season press conference. Totally contradicts everything he said. And it makes you wonder why they did not upgrade, why they did not go after players like Bregman, Alonso, players along those lines that were available. I'm not going to throw Soto out there, but, players like that could have really helped out this team instead of bringing in Max freaking Kepler. It's amazing to me. Is it ignorance? Was it money? I mean, was it as simple as they just couldn't afford it? Does Dave Dombrowski actually think this product will work? And I don't know why Dave is so loyal to this. I mean, he really didn't bring in, he brought in Turner, right? He brought in Walker. He brought in some of them. He traded for Marsh. So he's got his hand in this, but the core of this team was assembled way before he arrived. So I don't know why he has this undying allegiance to this team or to this product right now when I guess it's like a 70-30 mix of him 30% involved and then 70% was here before. I just don't understand where the allegiance comes from and not being able to see through some of the smoke and mirrors that some of us fans have already seen through. Bohm just had a bonehead play just now. Are you really? Oh, they're batting right now. I didn't see the bonehead play. Oh, it's 1-0. Oh, it is 1-0. So maybe I missed it, Joe. So there you go. The defense strikes again. Have you added third base to your list of upgrades? Or is Otto Kemp still the third baseman? Otto Kemp's out there on left field tonight, playing outfield, which is good. They're getting him in the lineup, and I applaud that. But once again, is Cedric Mullins going to fix all this? Is Cedric Mullins coming here and fixing all this? And we're going to give up a medium high level prospect to bring him here to do what? He's not going to lead off, right? Because, God forbid we can't get that thing straight either. But it's going to take more than one player, man. And I don't think it can happen in season. 20 rounds of MLB draft is way, way too many rounds. No, it's not. No, think about it, Michael. Think about it. Each team's got 5 or 6 levels of minor leagues. You got to keep the shelves stocked, man. Come on. Each team's got like 6 levels. What, you got rookie? You got low A, high A, double. So you got 5 levels, not 6. 5 levels of minor leagues. Plus, you got the Mexican Summer League, Mexican Winter League, the Dominican Summer League, and the Dominican Winter League. You got a lot of leagues. You got to keep fresh with bodies, man. Yeah, come on. You got to keep the thing fresh. It is not. Matter of fact, wasn't it back in the day? It was like 60 rounds. They've actually streamlined it down to 20 rounds. So no, I disagree. I think it's the adequate amount. I think Thompson gets fired and the Phillies don't go far in the playoffs. Would he? Okay. And that's a question. And that's a fair one. Again, some of the backlash that I heard today from last night, especially with Bryce Harper's situation, was there was no backing from the manager. He didn't run out there and yell and whatever, and I understand you got to pick and choose those moments. I think the last time he did it and he got thrown out of the game was so blatantly obvious that he went out there to get thrown out. It almost looked like he was pandering. I understand what you mean by trying to see some emotion from your manager, and I'm not going to advocate at all to keep Rob Thompson around. I think Rob Thompson's a terrible manager. I think he's one of the worst managers that we've actually had. Was he an upgrade over Girardi? Only to the fact that the players responded to him because I guess they're in charge and they didn't like somebody telling them what to do. So I don't know how you take that. But at the end of the day, Rob Thompson's going to walk out of here with the same amount of World Series championships that Joe Girardi walked out of here with, and that's 0. Nothing's happening. Nothing's going to change there. And Rob Thompson's not going to cement his name up there with Dallas Green and Charlie Manuel either. So at the end of the day, Rob Thompson's going to walk out with potentially a lot of like unrealized expectations, right? And then sort of his epitaph will be no roles, Rob, right? We don't call him Binder Rob, but no roles, no consistency. And that's what this team will be, I think, remembered under Rob Thompson's tutelage. And I applaud Rob Thompson for not being a blowhard and not being some crazy manager like an Aaron Boone. Those guys were just a pain ass to deal with. And, you know, chirping at every play, chirping at every call. It's just, they're a pain in the ass. Honestly, a big old pain in the ass. And I think they're bad for baseball because the antics are kind of like mirrored down at lower levels and just don't have time for that. Just don't have room for any of that stuff. But would I like to see Rob Thompson get a little emotional? At this point, no, because to me, it just comes off as pandering it now. He's now doing it to save face. He's now doing it because that's what people are hoping and praying and expecting him to do to try to fire up this team. So no, I don't. I think him getting fired up at this point is just terrible. But to answer your question or to respond to your statement here, I hope. You can only hope. And does it go deeper though? If the Phillies don't go far in the playoffs, and Joe Hale, I'm going to double down and I'm going to say if they don't win the World Series, because this is not a team that's expecting the summit of their season to be making the playoffs. With the fourth highest payroll in all of baseball, you expect some things from a team that's also been to the playoffs for 3 straight years. So getting to the playoffs shouldn't save his job. Winning a World Series should save his job. And anything short of that at this point, you're right, should cost him his job. But does the spear only go through him? At what point does Dave Dombrowski have to face the fire about what he's done or what he has not done as the president of baseball operations of this team? At what point do we say enough's enough with Dave and say we got to go a whole other way? Because we just did not realize expectations. There were some moves made that weren't right, but yet nobody had the cojones to backpedal off those moves and to fix those moves. At what point does Dave Dombrowski fall under the sword as well? So if you're going to lop off the head of Rob Thompson at the end of the season, I think you better do it with Dave Dombrowski too, because it's not going to really matter who comes in behind him. It's going to be the same players with the same philosophy. Now, will the team be run differently? Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, the power hitters are still going to be the power hitters. They're still not going to bat well situationally. They're still not going to be able to play small ball consistently. This team is what they are. And the architect of that, even though maybe only 30%, is Dave Dombrowski. So if you're going to do the manager, man, you need to do the upper management guy too. So I agree. I think he should get fired. If they don't go deep in the playoffs, I think he should be fired if they didn't win the World Series, for God's sakes. That's where I'm at. And he'll enter 2026, if he does not get fired, as another lame duck year, because that's the last year of his contract. Now, if the Phillies get bounced in the first round, say, and they extend Rob Thompson again, I mean, how much of a slap in the face is that to Phillies fans? How much of a slap in the friggin' face is that to Phillies fans if that happens? I just saw Brent Rooker of Oakland hit his 19th home run, and he now has 50 RBIs and batting .271. How good would he be? Right? He would be outstanding. He's going to the All-Star game, too. He made the All-Star game for the A's. Rooker did. Rooker's obviously the face of that franchise right now for obvious reasons. He's the power hitter. Now they just got to assemble a team around him, which they actually are starting to do. Oakland's not terrible anymore. I'm sorry. The A's are not terrible anymore. They're starting to kind of slowly turn the ship around, I think. And Brent Rooker is obviously part of that, face of that, Mason Miller, all those guys. That shortstop they got out there, another face of the franchise. So they're starting to kind of get things together. And there was a lot of talk about Brent Rooker last year, remember, about bringing him in at the trade deadline. And allegedly, this is the story that I think all of us heard in the offseason. It was the A's that were one of the teams inquiring about Alec Boehm, and the asking price from the Phillies was way too low. Now, I don't know if Brent Rooker was a player that was involved or asked about. I don't know that, but if the Phillies are talking to the A's about anybody, you would assume Mason Miller and Brent Rooker's names were both mentioned in that thing. But I don't think he's going anywhere. The A's are in a situation where they're building, and I don't think they're going to move off of him. But the Phillies tonight find themselves in San Francisco, trailing 1-0 now into the bottom of the third inning. The Taiwan Walker watch is on. How much longer does he last? And the Phillies are now still 0 for 21 in their last 3 games with runners in scoring position. Where are my That's Baseball people at tonight? I want to hear from you. Where are all the people that says that's baseball, you got to deal with the lows and the highs? Well, this has been a perennial low for the last 3 years. At what point do we stop saying that's baseball and start saying that's them? And stop blaming the game of baseball on a team that is so pitifully inept in driving runners in when they're standing on second and third base. Batting 200 now through 10 games of the second half. Batting 247 for the season. 0 for their last 21 with runners in scoring position. Scoring, averaging less than 4 or right around 4 runs a game so far through 10 games of the second half. They're averaging over 8 runners left on base a game into the second half. At what point do we stop blaming the cowardly response of that's baseball and start saying that's them? I want to hear from all you that's baseball people out there right now. Come on. You like to dish it out to me? Now it's time for you to take your medicine. I want to hear from you. I want you to try to tell me that this is part of the game and not part of the identity of this team. I can believe that if this was not 3 years in the making. But you're going to try to sell us a bill of goods, and that's what homers do. Homers do that. They try to sell you a bill of goods, man. They are the original snake oil salesman, homers. They want to tell you everything's all right because we got Bryce Harper, or everything's all right because it's just is. And we're not going to back it up with any facts. We're not going to back it up in any numbers. We're just going to tell you everything is all right. And we're expected to believe that. And you're exiled off the island if you don't. Come join me off the island. It's pleasant out here. Pleasant out here at sea. It's drifting along with the trade winds. Taking things as they come day by day. But I want to hear from all you that's baseball people. If you have the balls. Oh, and like how I worked all the baseball stuff in. The A's shortstop got a hit on his left wrist and had to leave the game. Ooh, that's bad. I got like 20 of his rookie cards. I think he's going to the Hall of Fame. Geez, I think he's going to the All-Star game too. I'm thinking Hall of Fame because in a couple weeks is induction week, and this is going to be an interesting induction ceremony this year. Dave Parker going in, just recently passed away, and Dick Allen for the Phillies going in posthumously as well. I wonder how they're going to handle that. 2 deceased members of the upcoming Hall of Fame class. I wonder how it's going to handle. And I'll have a front row seat dealing with all that Cooperstown madness that week or weekend. But yeah. So I meant to say All-Star game, not Hall of Fame. The Phillies sent down Abel and brought Seth Johnson up to move Taiwan back in starting rotation. Makes no sense. Well, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. And there's so much we don't know. Obviously. And I'm not going to sit here and try to pretend that I know anything that's going on with Mick Abel. Mick Abel is probably one of the biggest enigmas that we've had floating around this organization for some time. 6 years in the minor leagues, and he still can't get a firm grip on the major leagues. And that's telling, and there's something to that. And no, I don't think it's traditional Phillies don't develop players fast enough type stuff. I think there's something, obviously, they're not able to kind of get through to Mick Abel right now. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm upset they sent him down. I mean, I'm a little perplexed because Jesus Luzardo's had 7 bad starts in a row and they keep plugging his ass in there. I'm not going to sit there and tell you that, it doesn't make me think. And no, I'm also not going to tell you that they sent him down because he had options. That's ridiculous. That's an absolute insane thing to say. That's why a player got sent down, because they have options. That makes no sense to me, and I don't think that's had anything to do with it. What I think had to do with was mechanically there was something they didn't like. Mechanically, they couldn't get through to him. I go back to that Braves game a few weeks ago, or was that 2 weeks ago? Last week? When the hell was that Braves game? A couple weeks ago, where they had the 3-hour rain delay, and then they came out and exploded for 13 runs. Well, that was a scheduled start for him, but they bumped him from that start after the rain delay. And I go back to that point, whereas maybe they're just at that juncture, like, you know what? If we don't have to pitch him, we won't. Maybe they saw something in that Mets game that they didn't like. Maybe something that got really bad they couldn't correct. And then the last outing, he was very shaky with the walks and the command and the velocity. So I think it's because they don't feel like he's where he needs to be. And that's part of this process of deciding whether or not he's part of the future. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted him up here this year, if only to make that decision and say, you know what, 6 years is long enough. It's not working. We're going to try to move you along, or do something else with you. So is Mick Abel one of those names that potentially could be out there on the trade market? But I don't know. We've been snake bitten before, giving up too soon on pitchers. I'll name a few: Gavin Floyd, Carlos Carrasco, Gio Gonzalez. I'll name a couple right there. So we've given up on some pitchers in the past, and it's come back to bite us on the ass. So does Mick Abel fall into that category? And is it time to look at Mick Abel as that type of situation? I don't know. And I really don't. I hope they don't. I think Mick Abel's a major league pitcher. And I really do. And I really wish they would have let him stay up here for at least one more start, at least tonight's start. Make a decision during the All-Star break. Make a decision after tonight's start, and then go from there. But I don't see what more Mick Abel can accomplish at AAA. I don't. 6 years in the minor leagues. Either he's got it at this point or he doesn't got it at this point. And the Phillies don't know that yet. I don't know, maybe you start questioning the Phillies a little bit. But the Mick Abel thing, Taijuan Walker. Well, Taijuan Walker is easier to figure out. It's that damn contract. They don't want that money being wasted. They're going to pitch him, if it's the death of them. So that's a little different. But yeah, I don't know why they sent him down, man. I really don't. I keep hearing the Phillies are looking for a closer. That will be useless, as Robbie won't. Yeah, but don't tell the homers that, because they forget that. It's funny, again, listening to some of these fans talk. Oh yeah, we need a closer. Yeah, well, we need a bullpen with roles too. I mean, you're right. What's a closer going to do here? It's going to do what Carlos Estevez did. It's going to take his medicine and pitch when they want him to pitch. I agree with you, Michael. I 100% agree. But nobody looks that deep into it. They just say, oh, yeah, we need a closer. Listen, I'll take a replacement for Jose Alvarado, who has not yet been acquired. What are we going on? 2 months that he's been out of the rotation or out of the lineup? And we have yet to replace his spot on the roster with a viable replacement? What the frig, man? But you're right. You're clamoring for a closer, but we don't use a closer. You're clamoring for one guy to come in and be the closer. Do you understand how ridiculous that sounds with this team? 100%, Michael Pappernick. You hit it on the head. Ryan, how are you tonight? If he's a bench guy, don't trade for him. What do you mean if he's a bench guy? So you're saying that we got to go after quality starting people? Oh, man, it's making it tougher, man. As I said, I dread this trade deadline. I dread it because I know that whatever they do, unless they're going to pull off a 7-player deal and bring in 7 players, quality players that have MLB pedigree, unless they do something like that, this trade deadline will go down in my own personal lexicon as one of the most useless trade deadlines. We're going to give up prospects for a friggin' rental player that's going to do nothing for this team. And at the end of the season, when the contracts expire and that guy walks, we just lost some more prospects. And that's all it's going to account for, man. So I really dread this trade deadline. I truly do, more so than I have past trade deadlines, because this season is, There's a lot of people who think they're right there. I'm not one of them. I'm not one of that thinks the Phillies are right there. I just think there's way too many inconsistencies with this team, way too many problems with this team that have not been fixed, that have not been even addressed over the last few seasons. To think that one player is going to come in here and fix anything, honestly, do. And I think it's just going to cost us players in the long run. And we're going to be sitting back in November talking about the same things that we've been talking about since the November of 2022. And nothing's going to get changed. And that's what it's getting to me. That's how it's getting. That's how I'm feeling about it. You can only let Rooker be a bench guy or fill in there. Yeah, well, you could also be the DH of the future. Forget about that. With Schwarber being a free agent. Rookie is a full-time player, not a fill-in. If he wants that, will be here. No point in trading for him. So with Alvarado available after the 125th game this year, do you see it? The Phillies making a bullpen move prior to the trade deadline. Michael, he's available after the 125th game, but he's not available for the postseason. You do know that, right? It's part of the penalty of testing positive, being whatever loser he is at this point. I think second-time loser, whatever he is. Part of violating the substance abuse program is you do your suspension, but you're also ineligible for the postseason if you make it to the postseason. So Alvarado, to me, is dead in 2025. There's no sense in the Phillies even, I think, activating the guy. Honestly, call it maybe the team can suspend him for the rest of the season. He's not going to be able to help me out in the postseason. Why in the hell do I even give him the opportunity to pitch after what he did to the organization? I don't know about Alvarado's future with this team. Obviously, he'll be back, but I don't know if it's that cut and dry. That was a huge slap in the face of what he did. So, no, I personally, I don't even see him as part of the mix, honestly. Responding to Michael. Okay. Can the Phillies get draft picks if Kyle walks free? No, there is no. So there's there's not like the traditional compensatory picks that the NFL gives out when free agents leave. There is something, I got to look it up exactly, but there's not like it's not picks for players. It's picks for not busting the luxury tax. It's picks for kind of meeting sort of MLB mandates throughout the season. I don't think you get picks for losing free agents. I'll double check that, but I don't think it's the same. Agree entirely with you, Matty, about too many issues. They're not close. No point in mortgaging the future. I agree, Ryan. If it was true that it's one player away, if it's a Manny Machado or a Juan Soto or a Manny Ramirez or a Jamie Moyer or a Joe Blanton or a Cliff Lee away situation, then yes, obviously. But I think, honestly, you're just throwing good money after bad right out the window if you go after one player. And all it's going to account for at the end of the season is loss of prospects. And that's why this offseason or this trade deadline scares me so much, because I don't know how close Dave Dombrowski thinks the Phillies are. And that really scares me because he's the one that makes the decisions, and he could have the power to let go of some players that could be potential, big time contributors. And that's what scares me about this season, because the Phillies are not one or two players away. They're about 7. And that's not going to happen in season. It's just not. So, yeah, I'm real scared about this trade deadline. I am. And I honestly don't want the Phillies, with maybe the exception of Kyle Finnegan, which, again, that shouldn't cost you too much. I'd go after and get him there. But other than that, offensively, I don't see anybody out there, unless you're looking to pull off a Rafael Devers type move and bring in somebody like that. Maybe we're going to try to pluck Bregman away or get Alonso. I don't, something like that. Okay, we'll talk. But if you're talking Cedric Mullins, or players along those lines, what are we doing here, man? What are we doing? And again, that's all it's going to cost us is draft picks, or not draft picks, but prospects that I could use later on. Responding. Yep, agree with you. Well, thank you, Ryan. I appreciate it. So, Phillies are a mess. Well, they're not really a mess. I mean, they're around first place. They're 54-37, something like that. They got a good record, right? They're not a mess. But again, you take away the May. You take away that 19-9 May. You take away that 19-9 May. This is a 500 baseball team, literally, or maybe a couple games above. And that scares me. That scares me because it was May. It scares me it was May and it was only 1 month. And ever since then and before then, they've been puttering around at 500. And I don't know how long they can coast on May. And it's funny, too, with the Mets problems and the way they've been scuffling and the type of pitching the Phillies have been getting. Why aren't the Phillies like 8 games ahead of the Mets at this point? That's the true litmus test there. The Phillies had every possible chance and opportunity to pull away from the Mets over the last 6 weeks, and they have not been able to do it because they can't get out of their own way. They've had some of the best starting pitching efforts that I've seen on a consistent night-to-night basis, probably since way back in the day when like the Phillies were rocking like 3 legit aces, or maybe I'm not going to compare it, but close to the 5 ace team of 2010, 2011, around there. They've had that type of starting pitching over the last 6 weeks, and they've been unable to put any distance between themselves and the Mets. You don't think that's going to come back and bite them on the ass at some point? But the homers, the naysayers, or the eternal optimists, let's just say naysayers, but the eternal optimists don't see it that way, and that's scary too. All right, so let's kind of take a break. Let's take a break. And let's take a look at our of the night segment. We're talking MLB drafts as we get closer to it. It's on Sunday night. Phillies are picking 26th overall in the first round. And we've over the last few nights have gone over some players who I think, if they're available, the Phillies should obviously take a look at. The first player we talked about, if there's a position within this organization that is more depleted than catcher, I'm not aware of it. And with the best catcher in this draft being Luke Stevenson from North Carolina, I think it's possible that he finds his way down lower in the draft. So at 26, if you can scoop up a player like this, it would greatly enhance your team going forward. Another player that I like is this guy, Kurtz Schoolcraft, a 6'8" left-handed pitcher from Sunset High School in Oregon, who's throwing 97 miles an hour at the age of 18. Project guy, comes from the same sort of baseball gene pool that Nick Abel came from out there in Oregon. I don't know if you take that good or bad, but a possibility that you could work with them, a possibility that you could develop them, and 6'8", I'll take them. Another player is the comp player that, not him. I'm sorry, that's not him. I'm talking about Sean Gamble. He's the guy that's pulling a lot of Bryson Stott comps right now in terms of his potential, his defensive ability, and his developing prowess at the plate. He could be available at 26. He's not first on my list by no means, but if he's the only one there that I'm talking about, definitely take a look at him. Wrapping it up with these two players, Ethan Conrad, an outfielder from Wake Forest. Not much power in his game, but what is in his game is contact hitting. There you go. Contact hitting. Mr. Small Ball himself, Ethan Conrad. We definitely need a player like that in this organization. And at 26 overall, definitely look at him. And then rounding it out with Slater DeBron, an outfielder from Summit, Oregon, sort of a Lenny Dykstra comp, actually. I did some more research on him. He's pulling some comps to Lenny Dykstra from back in the day with some speed. Speed can bat at the top of the lineup with a little power. So if you're looking for that in the next 5 years, Slater DeBron could be a potential. So now let's talk about the other player. What was my the last player, actually? I think I have one more for tomorrow night. But here is my next player, Xavier Nieves, the third baseman from Mount Vernon High School in Washington. There have been 9 high school hitters to be drafted in the first round and signed out of the state of Washington in the history of the draft, the best of which came in 2019 in the form of Corbin Carroll. Long known for his bat, Niea's increase in power has helped him make the jump to a top-level prospect, one who was extremely busy on the summer showcase circuit. Now, this is last year. Playing in events including MLB's High School All-American game. Is that the game you're talking about, Joe? And the area code games. Nieas has long been seen as an area scouts as a potentially elite hitter from the left side with an outstanding approach. He made some adjustments to his setup and swing, adding leverage and starting to show off at least plus raw power and the ability to not only get to it, but to do it to all fields. Again, a hitter that hits to all fields, that's showing some power, but it's contact. I don't know if they're drawing a direct comparison to Corbin Carroll. I don't think they are, but they're hinting around through the way he was brought up through baseball as a young man. There's some comparisons there. So if available again, he's a third baseman. We could need one of those here soon too. Xavier Nieas out of Mount Vernon High School in Washington. He is our next to last draft pick. We're going to look at that the Phillies could potentially be in line for at 26 overall in tomorrow Sunday's draft. Let's get back to the comments. I saw that. It was a really nice play. Kind of hit the ground really hard, though, kind of slapping that head back. I saw that, too. Yes, Major League Baseball team can receive draft pick compensation when a free agent. I didn't see. Okay, thank you for doing some research. I was not sure, but I don't know. It says a team can receive draft pick compensation. So it's not an automatic, I don't think. I think there's some other stuff that has to be met there. But if you're equating it to the NFL, the way they do that, I don't think it's the same. So, but I said I wasn't really sure. Did I know Joe Blanton is a scout for the Phillies? I did not know that. Joe Blanton's scouting for the Phillies? That's what I'm talking about, man. Can he still pitch? That's what I really like to know. All right, let's go to our favorite time of the night that I like and enjoy and look forward to. All right, I'm back. Did you guys hear that music? I didn't hear that. Was the music playing on your end? Somebody let me know. Did you hear the music from that card review? Because I didn't hear it. All right, that's the card review. That was weird. The card review segment here on the program. Of course, this is my favorite part of the night. I cannot wait for this. Every night I look forward to doing it. And tonight's no different. Let's see. Am I plugged in all the way over here? Yeah, I'm already plugged in. All right. Let's look at this. Tonight, and I got somebody saying, yes, the music was playing. Really? No, I'm sorry about that. I couldn't hear it. I'm glad you guys did. Tonight, we're staying in the modern era. We've been talking modern baseball cards. This has actually been a pleasure over the last few nights. We've been talking like modern era stuff. I'm not back in 1987 or I'm stuck in the early 90s. No, we've been doing like 2025, 2024. Tonight, we're going to go back to 2019 to a card that has really, with the modern superstar cards like the Otanis and the Judges and the Trouts to a lesser extent. This card, Acuna is one of them too. This card kind of gets lost a little bit in the shuffle of that, but this is from a player who still has the same sort of pedigree or potential that he had 5 years ago. Now, ran into some injury issues along the way, massive injury issue at one point, but he's still considered, in my opinion, and in the card world, a very valuable hot topic and a very valuable name. And I speak of the 2019 Series 2 Topps rookie card of Fernando Tatis Jr. Sporting the old school Padre uniforms, man, the ones before they changed. This is a cool card. If you come across it, it's all over the spectrum in financial value. As a raw card, this card is about $45 as a PSA 10 as a base card. This is card number 410 of Series 2, a base card of Fernando Tatis Jr. It's about $300. And then you're moving into like the refractors and the chromes and the the insert type cards and the parallel type cards. You're looking at some serious money for Fernando Tatis Jr. And to me, when I was looking through for tonight's card, I came across this and I got like perplexed. I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know I had a Fernando Tatis Jr. rookie card in the old San Diego Padre uniform, but I do. And as I said, I looked on multiple databases, and this card as a base card is about $45, ungraded or not graded. So very, the Topps motif of 2019 and beyond, or since. The full front of the card is the player. They're not wasting much time with background or border graphics. It's all about the player. This, of course, is got the rookie card shield on it, the Topps rookie card shield, and Fernando in the old defunct San Diego Padre uniforms. It's a really cool looking card. It's a classic card, and it's a sneakily valuable card. And it's right here. So here it is in its physical form, the 2019 Fernando Tatis Jr. 2019 Series 2 Topps. About $45. Base 410 ungraded. And if you grade it, I'm seeing it for like $350 as a base card. And if you happen to come across a chrome or a refractor, you're talking $500. It's up there. It's up there, man. So there's your card review of the night. Fernando Tatis Jr., his rookie card. We're going to take it out, but before I do want to reveal number 3 on my all-time Phillies trade list. Last night we took care of number 4. We did the Bobby Abreu trade. That is my 4th best trade ever in Phillies history. To review the list with you, we started at 10 and we've worked our way all the way down to 3. And then tonight I'll reveal number 3, and then we'll finish this thing up soon. I'm gonna get it out of the way. It's been a pain in the ass because I keep on forgetting to do it. But number 10 in MattyB's all-time greatest Phillies trade list is JT Realmuto from the Marlins. For some players that absolutely did not work out at all for the Marlins, to include Sixto Sanchez. Number 9 was the Cliff Lee Part 1 trade, the trade that got him from Cleveland. But that was a game changer for this organization. Kurt Schilling from the Astros at number 7, perennial ace and Hall of Famer. Number 6, or I'm sorry, that was number 8. Number 7 is Brad Lidge from the Astros. I mean, has there been a relief pitcher, with maybe the exception of Mitch Williams, to come on and make such a great impression and to go literally perfect in 2008 as in save appearances? God, I long for those days of an actual closer. At number 7 was the Lenny Dykstra trade from the Mets, bringing him here for Juan Samuel along with Roger McDowell. Number 5 is John Kruk from the Padres, same season, about a month earlier, bringing him here for Chris James. And number 4 was Bobby Abreu from the Rays. So that leads me to my number 3 trade. I'm not the biggest fan of this guy, and I've never been, especially while he was here, because he just didn't do it long enough while he's here. But he definitely made an impression when he got here. And for what we picked up, which we got him for, is stunning. Of course, Roy Halladay in 2009 comes from the Blue Jays in exchange for Kyle Drabek, Michael Taylor, and Travis DiNarnone. None of those players, with the exception of DiNarnone, made any kind of military, made any kind of MLB career. So to get Roy Halladay, also, and Cash went back to the Blue Jays too, but to get Roy Halladay for that group of players and to have the impact that Halladay did have here, granted it was a small one and it was very short, but it was still a stunning impact. Lands him on number 3 of my all-time greatest trades in Philly history. So that leaves me 2 more left, number 2 and number 1, and I'll give you a hint. They're both pitchers. All right, so we're going to finish up so my top 3 of greatest Phillies trades ever, they're all pitchers, and Roy Halladay is my number 3. So there you go. I have made it down to number 2 and number 1. So tomorrow night, we'll probably reveal number 2, and maybe, who knows, maybe I'll just reveal number 1 tomorrow night as well. So and they both kind of connect to each other in a roundabout way, but they do. All right, folks, that's going to take me to the end. I want to thank everybody for joining in, and remember all the great programming that's here on the network that we're doing on a daily basis. Make sure you're back here later tonight. I unfortunately will not be here. I'll be asleep, but Steve Fuentes will be here for the Titans final right after the Phillies and Giants go final from the Bay Area. And then tomorrow, Mike Lara will have you at a reasonable hour of the day. I think around 7 o'clock is when that game should be over. And then we got the Padres series. You'll be seeing a lot of me in that series too. So make sure you're checking back for the Titans final and all the great other programming we have here on the network. I want to thank you guys for coming out and spending some about an hour with me tonight. I thought we covered some good ground, made some progress, talked about some pertinent things. Thank you, Joe. As always, thank you for joining in. And we will talk again tomorrow night. So until then, you guys have a great rest of your night and even better tomorrow.